and welcome to Let's Chat with your host, Cynthia Stone. Now, today's show promises to be wonderful. As usual, we have a fabulous guest for you in store, Eriks Singer, who is a life coach. I mean, he's really helped with the fitness end of things, and a very inspirational guy, who you'll meet very shortly. Now, something about Let's Chat is that we do interview difference makers in the community. How I got started, I am definitely an advocate for people of limited means, of people who have overcome adversity. I started off in community work, wanting to make a difference, be the change I want to see in the world. And that prompted me to meet our founder, Jay Stoyan, who I have had the pleasure of working alongside, and it's been just such a wonderful journey. I've been able to go to a lot of these rallies, meeting people that are truly passionate and making a difference in the community. So as always, it is a delight, a treat, insightful and delightful presentations here where we introduce new and fabulous innovators in the community, movers and shakers, if you will. So stay tuned because we have plenty more to come. And welcome back. Now, as promised, I have our fabulous guest here, Eriks Singer. Erik, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, it's a pleasure. Now, let's give you the introduction you deserve. So you are, in fact, a life coach of sorts, working on the fitness end of things. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you might practice what you preach.
I do, actually, yeah.
All right, so how did you get started in this?
I started at about 16 years old. My guidance counselor suggested it to me. I was a very shy kid. I was speech impaired, and I wasn't really able to integrate socially with the other kids in my school. So they called me down during class, and I was terrified and called down to the principal's office in class. But he suggested I try it, so I went after school, worked out with the rest of the guys in the club, and I loved it immediately.
Right on. So it was a natural pull, and
Exactly.
You found that where you weren't able to talk to others, you were able to then immerse yourself into something different.
It led to a lot more self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, because people were seeing what I was doing, there was a certain amount of, I guess, respect from my peers and the other kids in class. So.
Yeah, 16-year-old bodybuilder? So
Exactly.
was it that far? Like, what kind of stuff did you do?
Almost, primarily weight training is what I was into. I got into martial arts and other things as well, but I really liked weight training the most. Powerlifting is my is how I train. So I compete in powerlifting, but I've done bodybuilding type training as well.
Oh, it's amazing. So how did you overcome, I mean, you weren't obviously always this size, so, I mean, were you intimidated at all? Like, how did you overcome that?
Walking into the weight room, I was about 115 pounds.
Wow.
I was a really small kid, and it was quite intimidating for sure. Definitely, everyone else was quite a bit bigger and stronger than me at the time, but I was just so motivated, and I really just enjoyed what I was doing so much that I was just driven to it.
It's fascinating. So, I mean, coming at this, you said that you were very shy, so let's explore that. Where do you think that came from?
My speech, so, because, I as a kid, I could speak maybe 1 in 3 words. I could barely speak at all. And because of that, I didn't really want to socialize with the other kids in class. I would do anything I could to avoid those situations. And that led to social anxiety. I was quite depressed all the time. So that was what ultimately got me, why I was so shy when I was a kid.
Absolutely. That's certainly a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, the gift of speech is something that so many of us take for granted. So, and hearing you now, I mean, you've certainly come a long way. Nobody would ever know.
Sure.
So, how did that work?
For the longest time, I was kind of living my life around trying to avoid certain social situations. And when I put myself into a situation where I couldn't avoid it anymore, where I had to do things like this, or meeting with clients, designing programs and trying to present it to them, explaining fitness concepts to somebody I may never have met before, it seemed to dissipate at that point.
That's fascinating. Yeah, they say that about fear. It's like either you forget everything and run, where you face everything and rise, right? So that's truly remarkable. Now, exploring how it was like in terms of obstacles, did you have any kind of situations where, it deflated you, defeated you?
That would have been most of my high school life, actually. So yeah, that whole situation, people socializing in those days, especially, not as much now because people are a lot more mature. But for example, I would have to stand up in front of the entire class and present something. And that was very difficult because nobody could really understand what I was saying, but yet I was being pushed into this situation.
Absolutely. So through the fitness, you found your voice.
It gave me a lot more confidence, which ultimately led to me doing the job I'm doing now.
So you're able to really motivate people around us.
Definitely.
So tell me about a time in your childhood where you really had to overcome an obstacle.
In my childhood, I guess as it comes with, going with my speech, all through grade school, we had speech night, I called it. So we would go up and read up about a topic and write a speech and stand up in front of all the other students and all their parents. And not read, but actually sing the speech to everybody. And that was one of the most intimidating and terrifying moments for me of being all through school.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of stays with you.
Yeah, sure.
They say that public speaking is one of the biggest fears that people have, that, as Jerry Seinfeld put it, when it comes to a fear, people at a funeral would rather be the one in the box than the one delivering the eulogy. So, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
So definitely you're not alone. So advice for people when they are struggling with their speech, what would you?
It's different for everybody. Definitely speech therapy is a good idea. See if that helps you. I did it myself. I've seen 4 different speech therapists. It didn't really work for me. Part of it was the fact that I didn't have any faith in it. I think I sabotaged it myself. The best thing somebody can really do is to face their fear directly. And you just have to put yourself in these situations because it's really the fear that's causing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And you're speaking to mindset too, which is a big part of it. Right, so being a friend to yourself. Like often people will be a bigger bully to themselves than what's happening outside of them.
Definitely.
So it's really about being a friend to yourself too.
For sure. I would say I was harder on myself than anybody else was. There was never any real situation where it led to anything, but it was always in my head.
So moving forward, I mean, that definitely delves into what led you to be here. Now, here today, who is this Eriks singer in front of you?
A personal trainer. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and I would say my speech was a problem all up until very recently. And as I became a trainer, this is actually what helped me with it. So I'm training people of all types. Mostly, I'll work with a lot of people mostly doing weight loss or trying to get back into shape. I do quite well with people who I feel are self-conscious about themselves. Most people who come to me aren't very comfortable with who they are, the way they look, or whatever. So I kind of have an understanding of not being settled with yourself. So I tend to work really well with these people.
And what kind of advice do you give to people that are struggling with themselves?
Generally speaking, it's reassurance of themselves. I'll constantly reassure them, make them feel better about themselves. But I'll give them the reality when it comes to weight loss. It comes down to calorie consumption of their diet. And I try and push dietary changes. And when people start to see the change, then they start to become more motivated and more comfortable. And then it's easier to push yourself further for what you start to see.
Absolutely, the momentum starts building.
Yeah.
So food for thought here, what would a diet look like for somebody? Let's see, we can take maybe one of your more challenging clients.
Let's see, well, the most challenging, so I don't push certain foods on people.
No.
I feel if I do that, they're not going to do it. If I suggest they eat like me, they're not going to enjoy it because my diet's no fun whatsoever.
No, it doesn't. good taste?
So I suggest they try to have a certain macronutrient breakdown, a certain total calorie count, which is usually less than they burn every day. So a small calorie drop of, let's say, 150 calories a day, we monitor the results. And if they're getting the results they're looking for, then we keep doing what we're doing. If not, make another drop or an increase depending on what they're doing.
And so you went to school for the nutrition aspect?
Yes.
Okay, right on. So what was the designation? It's like nutritionist?
Nutritionist is the most common term.
Yeah. Okay. So you can recommend, and so it's all connected, the mind, body, spirit connection, yeah?
Yeah, it's all one.
Yeah, right on. And so you can recommend certain programs that will help them.
Definitely, depending on their goals, what their needs are. It changes depending on the person, for sure.
Absolutely. So have you had, struggles with a client? Could you walk us through?
A very common situation, I would say, that I get quite often is somebody will come in and they're very motivated to make a change. And really what it is that they want to do it, but they don't really want to do it. If that makes sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm sure we can all relate to that.
Yeah. Once they see how much chicken and broccoli and foreign foods they have to eat, and they have to go to the gym 3 times a week, and they don't want to do it. They're not really quite there yet. That would be the most challenging situation.
Absolutely. And so for you, this has been a lifelong pattern, like since 16 you've been doing this?
Yes, I'm 16 years old.
Yeah. And you are now?
37.
Okay, so it's been over 20 years that you've been sticking diligently to this, which is quite remarkable.
Definitely, yeah. When I started, I loved it right away, and that passion's never left me.
Never left. So how would you cope with someone who was recently disabled? For example, you said a car accident.
Yeah.
From going to being able-bodied to now disabled.
Yeah. So usually they would do rehab first, and I would train with them after their rehab to get them into a better condition than they were at that point. And usually it's about rebalancing any imbalances they may have. So a lot of them will have back pain or neck pain or a frozen shoulder or something like that, and I'm trying to help them push past those limitations.
That must, definitely involve a lot of coaching. And do you work with vitamins at all?
I suggest certain nutrients for people. I try not to push supplements or anything on people, but a lot of people, nutritionally, they're deficient in certain vitamins, and I might suggest it in those cases.
Absolutely. And so have you worked with, so you've worked with people with disabilities from car accidents, you had mentioned, even somebody who's, new to this.
Yeah. I've trained with people who are brand new to fitness. Most of them are people who have, let's say, have been inactive for 30 years or so, and they're probably my most challenging clients because they've never used their body and they don't really know how to properly activate muscles and use it properly. So they'll have certain imbalances that will take a long time to correct, and because they don't know how to fire those muscles, it's hard to just start to fix those imbalances.
Absolutely, which if you're going down that path and not using these muscles, that will lead to problems down the line, which will result in disabilities.
Sure, and definitely one of the biggest problems is people sit way too much these days, and they have rolled shoulders from being on a computer desk, and tight sore back, tight hip flexors, and knee problems from standing on their joints instead of their muscles.
Absolutely, which will lead to health problems down the line.
Definitely.
So what can you suggest for the average office worker, for example?
They need to get some exercise, definitely. They need to stretch their body, stretch their posterior chain, which is generally tight, which is all the muscles along the back of the body is the posterior chain. They need to strengthen those, stretch the muscles in the front of their body, and just be active, find something to do. Too many people nowadays will go to work and they sit at work and they go home and they sit at home and they go to bed and they go back to work and do it again every day. And after 30 years, that really takes a toll.
Absolutely. I think we sometimes take the human being too far, and we forget that we shouldn't just be. We also need to be, physically active.
Sure.
Otherwise, we end up with that sandbag, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then weight gain happens as well on top of the imbalances. So
Yeah, certainly. So proactively, to avoid any kind of health problems, you want to make sure that you keep active. So are there any resources that you recommend for people? Can people go online, for example, and see your work? Do you have videos out there at all or anything?
My website is befit-now.com. They can ask me questions there for sure. There's just as much good information as there is, just as much bad information as there is good information. So just be cautious of how good of a source you're getting information from. That's definitely something to be concerned about. But yeah, there are all kinds of resources online as well, many places all over the internet.
Absolutely. So the ability to discern between the good and the bad is something
it takes some previous knowledge to understand what is good and what is bad. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I couldn't tell someone who's never worked out before how to choose between the two.
No. All right. Oh, that's awesome. So people can reach out to you on the BeFit/now.com, which is excellent. And this is Eriks Singer, for those of you who are just joining us now. Now, very motivational because you have been able to overcome your own obstacles and be able to empower people to really find their own strength, their own voice. And you work with all ages. So everyone from 14 to 78, but that's not a cutoff, folks. So if we have younger people out there or older people out there, Erik is skilled at working with everyone. Now, do you have a referral base? How are you able to get out all of your clients?
A referral? Well,
yeah. Like for rehab, do they have a?
So, if you mean in terms of,
Well, it's more, how are you getting the word out? How are people finding out about the fabulous singer process?
Mostly by word of mouth of my clients, as well as the fact that I'm doing the best I can promote myself online and just going out and meeting people.
And that's how you do it. Exactly. So there you go, the good old-fashioned approach. The word is spreading, and speaking of the word, we have some words from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rick Hansen, founder and CEO of the Rick Hansen Foundation, an organization that's dedicated to a world that's accessible and inclusive for people with disabilities. And that's why I'm so excited that the Disability Channel has launched its I Am Awareness and Education campaign, a chance to bring people together from the disabled community, from government, from private sector, family and friends, people who care deeply about this issue, who want to show also that it's a big deal, and also that we want to change attitudes from negative to positive, and to normalize the issue of disability, get rid of stigma. And lastly, we want to create accessibility and inclusion for everyone, to break down those barriers so that people with disabilities can have access to employment, to education, to our society, and of course to the built environment, the places and spaces that people live, work, and play. And if we can actually achieve this, amazing the kind of potential that could be unleashed and the great contribution to our country to be able to actually build the economy and build its culture and ultimately have a positive force for inspiration and encouragement. Ultimately, this Disability Channel has a chance to be able to continue to do its great work, which is create a platform for us to bring forward a message of hope and inspiration, a call to action, and to build our community, to make sure that we're bigger than the sum of our parts, and that we can come together because we care about something. So I am committed to an accessible and inclusive Canada.
And welcome back to our show. Now, I just want to thank Eriks Singer, who was such an inspiration. I mean, often looking at somebody of his stature, you would think, oh, this is a strong guy. What does he ever know? Has he ever experienced any kind of obstacles in his life? But his bravery, his courage to be able to disclose what he endured is absolutely inspirational and remarkable. I truly am appreciative to all our fabulous guests that have come on this show over the time, and truly a warm extension of thank you to Erik for that. Now, if you want to reach out to him directly and definitely take advantage of his abilities, then you can do that by checking out www.befit-now. Now, that is his personal website, and he's very responsive to messages. Now, something that we were discussing was, people that deal with, body dysmorphia. It's not just for, everyone is affected at some points by low self-esteem, by whether it's your speech, whether it's your face, whether it's your figure, whatever it happens to be. Now, this fitness, this mind, body, spirit connection is really able to help address a lot of your insecurities and inadequacies. He wasn't always the guy that you saw today. He was 115 pounds and struggled with major self-esteem issues. I myself, too, have dealt with a lot of low self-esteem. And it really requires just being good to yourself. It's cultivating a loving relationship with yourself, because once you are able to nurture your spirit within and truly be a mother to yourself or a father to yourself and honor your divinity, then you can really be able to take strides to overcome any obstacles and recognize that you have the abilities to overcome anything. You are infinitely more powerful than even you realize. And a lot of the work that I've been doing at the gym, I'm working out now, is just realizing that, wow, I can actually lift, and I never thought it was possible. I was always that skinny kid that could hula hoop through a Cheerio, and then you find out that you have these, abilities to actually lift and feel powerful and strong and find your strength. So I encourage all of you, whether it's, in whatever aspect of your life, just reach for it. The very word impossible says, I'm possible, and all things are possible. So thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed today's segment.